Hi guys, how you doing?
Hi guys.
It's Manny and G, Ryan and Ryson. Today is now 11/14 on the original. What's wrong?
I'm just getting comfortable.
The original calendar of the Gregorian, but because 2025 didn't really start until until 6/16 of this year. Technically, we're going into the month of 6 on 6/16. So, I mean on 11/16. So, we can look at today as likened to 6, because it's the, what's today again? So 11/14, right?
Huh? I don't even know what,
okay,
what time of the day is
so
right
you
now.
can look at the day as like 6/13 or 5/13, okay? And then when you get to the 16, it starts over. So it can either be like, so when you get to 11/16, it'll be 6/1 or 5/1, or you can look at it as 5/16.
We're on the 13th.
Or 6/16. No, we're
No,
on
we're the 14th. We're
Yeah.
still technically the 13th.
Well, yes.
Evening to evening.
Evening to evening on God's. Okay, so sorry, that was very confusing.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of calendars that God uses, and look, he changes my hair every day. Like the style's even different today.
Yeah, it was darker last time. Now there's more. There's more.
He did this little. I don't do anything to it. I wake up and I literally look like this. This is it. Because we don't even have water right now, so I can't style my hair or anything like that. Okay. Anyway, so then on God's physical calendar, we are at the 2/9 today, and we're at the 7/9 today. Okay, so he's using both of those, the spiritual and the physical, to show the multiple worlds, to show how one's behind and one's ahead. Okay, so God is so perfect in every single thing he does. So we record a video every single day. He gives us a time in the morning and the evening. Okay. And it's crazy because God tells us what's going to happen before we even know, right? So I already knew before this video got uploaded, which it got uploaded today, and that people were going to talk about the whole Lori and Chad thing. Well, the thing is, I'm just being obedient. We are just being obedient together for the Lord. I don't know these people personally. I didn't even know who they were, to be honest. Somebody said, "Oh, your Heavenly Kingdom secrets sound just like Lori Vallows," and I was like, "Who's that?" I didn't know. So I went to my knees and asked Jesus, the real Jesus, because you have to understand, if you don't know that Jesus Christ finished all sins on the cross, past, present, and future, then you got the mockery Holy Spirit. Yeah. You didn't receive the heart of flesh. So you may think that your spirit's not recognizing what it is. It's because you don't have the correct one, most likely. Or your frequencies are not unblocked yet. And frequencies are very important because, God created everything with frequencies. Okay. So what Jesus is doing right now is he's stirring the pot. He's waking people up. He's changing out our suits. There's times where we look heavier, skinnier. He changes my hair supernaturally. I haven't colored it since 1/18/2024. And I used to have 85 to 90% white hair. Okay. White hair does not darken itself. Okay. So, therefore, it's God behind absolutely everything, and he's trying to show you the supernatural. Look, I don't even pick out my clothes. Jesus says, "I want you to wear that, and that's what I want you to wear." So he does everything for us. Our entire journey has been guided by the Lord. So, when Jesus has us say certain things as messengers, we have to do it because we love Jesus so much. We claim that Jesus Christ came in the flesh, bled and died on the cross, and rose on the third day. A spirit of an antichrist will not claim that. They will say that Jesus is Lord, but they will never confess that Jesus is their Lord. Right. You see, so there's a difference. And that's why you always have to test the spirit. Now, as far as scripture goes, a lot of people say, well, it has to match the word. Well, every single thing Jesus gives us is matching the word, but you cannot forget about this scripture. Seal this up until the end times, right? And you cannot forget about in the end times, knowledge will increase. So Jesus is showing us that because as it is on earth, as it is in heaven, he has a heavenly Bible in heaven. That he's never let man change the translations. He's never let man corrupt. But you have to understand, he's the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end. He knows the beginning from the end. So he knew people were going to change the translations. So that was all his design because he allowed it. So every single translation that we have now all fits perfectly in his puzzle piece. Okay? And so this is why he's having us unseal certain mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, where we all come from, why we're all here, why the worlds were made. And there are more than one world. I mean, there's 12 earthly realms. And I have seen G and I in many different worlds. He gives me dreams. Do you know he even gave me a warning dream that I ended up uploading today, that I recorded on the 11th, talking about how the hate was going to come after us because we're talking about how there's a curse attached to the 10 Commandments. So do you see, every single thing he lines up perfectly. So he had me do on social media back in, I think it was July or June, and it was June because it matches now, right? He had me do 49 parts on social media, plus a couple little things, a break here and there. And G posted everything on his pages as well, because on 5/12, he made G a prophet as well, which is why he's having him read his prophecies that he receives from Jesus, because he's omnipresent, God is, and he talks to us at the same time. We're in different rooms, different times. We don't even know what's being written until we put our messages together, and it's pretty awesome. Proving God is speaking. Okay, so just to let you know, I am sorry. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. I would never want to bring up something that is tragic. I do know tragedy. I mean, my sister died in 2019. My dad died the same year in 2019, and I lost a couple babies. But again, I know Jesus is behind a lot of these plans, because, you know, he knows the ending from the beginning, and he is going to use these people for his glory. Because the whole thing is, the earthly realms are attached to the original flower grid in heaven. We all become the 144,000, okay? So 144,000 is not just the 12 tribes made in the original kingdom. It's also 144,000 frequencies connected to the original flower grid, which is why the devil puts out the false flower grid through the towers. But it's also God's DNA inside, which is why they try to do the third strand, you know. So, excuse me. Okay, so I apologize if you know that you think that I'm trying to do this for clout or any of those things, because you have no idea what Jesus puts us through as far as this journey. We don't monetize, because he told me from the very beginning, he said, do not listen to man and do not monetize. So there are prophets that he has chosen that sold out to the world that he does not speak to anymore, but they're still getting prophecies correct, because the enemy's taken over and the enemy knows a lot of the plans. However, God has a plan for that, because now that the technology has been released, that God had a cloaking on it with the time shift, and it's all going to go back to 2023 when he started inviting everyone in the ark. I know it makes us sound like we are batshit crazy, but I'm telling you, we're not. Because if you look at my social media, or I used to be Morgan Riley, a country singer, I used to be all those things, completely normal. I just love the Lord, right? December 30th, 2022, I feel Jesus grab my hand so strong, and he gives me a message. And this message shows the very ending. It shows him coming, you know, for his children. It's a lot of love. But he also showed a lot of the beginning prophecies as wrath, because he was leading up to these mysteries that we're going into now, which have to do with the 10 Commandments, the curse on the 10 Commandments, and what the 10 Commandments came out of. Originally, there were 10 guidelines that God put out. So you have to understand, he left us a breadcrumb in Malachi 3:16, and that talks about the remembrance books. Of course, the devil put a bad note on those books. So when you go there, you see that it's Gnostic, and most people say, oh, that's evil and all that. That's like, you know, the forbidden fruit in the garden. Well, you have to understand there's more of a mystery with that. It has to do with the false father and the true father. It has to do with the false father not wanting them to eat from the tree, because he didn't want them to know they were in darkness, because they were fallen. But you see, we all agreed to these missions before the earthly realms were even made, and that was God's plan. Okay, so now I will say I'm sorry. I did not mean to stir up anything and make you feel, you know, more hurt. That's not my intention. My heart is pure. I do not want those things, and I do not do it for followers or anything like that, because the Lord already told me our followers are going to drop by a lot, right? Because people are not going to understand these kingdom mysteries. But we don't do it for the money, obviously. We do every single thing for Jesus. So you can see we don't monetize, we don't do anything. If you see an ad, it's YouTube collecting the money, not us. Okay, so I wanted to clear that up. And now G's gonna read his prophecy.
Yeah.
And I had some notes. Let me just make sure the notes, I got everything, because you know it's a lot to talk about. Let's see. Yes, so I did the timeline of the recording video. So the thing is, okay, I will say this one. I didn't know what part 1 was, but if you go on my community post, I just posted part 1 again. The Lord spoke to me tonight. He said, I want you to repost part 1. Then he said, I want Lydia to do it, and Cassie, and also Denise. These are some of the people he's using for pre-social media time, okay? And he's putting out these mysteries and stuff. Part 1 is literally matching the video that I uploaded today that we recorded a couple days ago, which was the 10 guidelines and the commandments. And I even talked about, you know, the Lori and Chad thing before the video got released, because I knew what was coming with that. Jesus warned me how much hate we're going to get from this, but we chose his will instead of the world's. And I know the world's not going to understand that, but...
And in the fallen world, what?
The what?
In the fallen world, hate.
Hate spreads, and because God set up this resonating light from the very beginning, if you say the name Jesus Christ or Yeshua HaMashiach, you're planting a seed in that person, and then God's going to make that seed grow. So whether it's hate or good, we are God's messengers. We're his prophets. We do that because he chose us to start the end times. He chose us to teach us the true salvation, which is once saved, always saved. You know, when you call on Jesus Christ, admit that you're a sinner, confess that you're a sinner, and ask for his forgiveness, and repent from speaking from the lips, but also from the heart. It has to be connected to the heart. But the kicker is you have to understand that all sins are finished, past, present, future, right? But it's not a license to sin because you love Jesus. So this is what the wineskin process is for, because after you have the heart of flesh, he doesn't activate it right away. But as you start purging and cleansing, and you start admitting things to the Lord, that you have trauma, that you know, there's some unforgiveness in your heart, that you feel triggered by something, that's what you have to give to the Lord by your heart, and he will remove those things from you. He removes things from him. You know, he's not an alcoholic or anything, you know. So there are things that we struggle with in our lives that God literally removes it when you give it to him with your whole heart.
And no, I'm not high as hell either.
So G has been suffering from COPD and asthma, you know, as a kid, but you know, he served in combat, so he got a COPD. But also Jesus has symbolism going with him right now, so he gasps for air when he's sleeping, so he doesn't get a lot of sleep, right? And he has sleep apnea pretty bad, okay? So
yeah, I'm just patient. I'm patient because, boy, this girl knows how much I can talk. I can talk all night long. Sometimes we're in bed, she's like, and I'm like, honey, I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about that, and thinking about this, and she's like, okay. I was like, no, I'm talking now. I can talk all night long. But sometimes it's okay to be patient. It's okay to let your woman speak. It's okay.
So I also want to say, let's see, what was his name again? The son. So, okay, I haven't really followed anything. I'll be honest, people had said that, you sound exactly like Lori. She says those things, and I'm like, who is Lori? So I go to the Lord, I ask him, and he goes, I want you to look up Lori and Chad Innocent. And I did. And the first video that came up with talked about like an interview or something, but it talked about the body where it was found and how he had a couple acres, okay? So, but before I even did that, Jesus told me they were innocent. He said, they're innocent. I have a plan for this. I'm sorting out the wheat and the tares. I'm using them. It's going to make them look like they're guilty of all these murders because of the elite and all that stuff, but I'm behind this plan. You will see it is going to be for my glory. And I trust on blind faith. I don't have them as my prison pen pals that people had said, you know, in the comments today. I don't know them. They don't know me, but eventually they don't know G. Eventually this will get out to them, and then they'll know that God is coming for them, because that's part of Jesus's plan to wake up the world. And with the supernatural, I mean, if you follow the pictures that he had us take before he got us on video, because he took us off video for over a year. There was a reason he did that. Now he's bringing us back on. But if you look at the pictures he had us take, and with no filter, no nothing, and see the changes, you will be amazed, because he literally did that, and then he put us in fat suits for the videos.
Yep.
And now today, you know, he changed my look again. I don't do anything, you know. He changes the highlights, he darkens my hair, he lightens my hair. So anyway, it's just childlike faith, and eventually the world is going to know that he's speaking, because it's not about us. It is about getting people to know they don't need to be under that bondage of slavery of the laws of the 10 Commandments, because the 10 Commandments have a curse on them because they're attached to the law. They're attached to the heart of stone. So Jesus removes that heart of stone, which is wicked and defiled, and puts his heart of flesh, the flesh that he died on the cross for us, right, inside of you. So then when the Father sees you, he no longer sees you. He sees his Son, forever righteous. And him and the Father are one in the Spirit, which I connected to the Son getting to know Jesus to the Father. And that's the whole wineskin process, is getting a relationship with Jesus. Then you get connected to the Father because they're one in the Spirit. It's like Jesus is our everlasting Father, our Prince of Peace. He's the beginning and the end. Okay, I think I have talked enough.
You're so damn cute.
One more thing. I don't want to get his name wrong. Anyway,
his name is
it Colby?
Colby Ryan.
Okay. I apologize if this, there's not a coincidence that you received a dream last night, a random dream, right? You received a dream about fighting someone, boxing. Well, you are going to see that not only did Jesus duplicate our spirits, he put us in many different suits, okay? So you're going to see Jesus is going to use celebrities, influential people, all of that, and he's going to switch out the good spirits and put them in these people. So you may have been whoever you had a dream of. You may have been somebody else. We have maybe been people. Like, Jesus has told us certain things so we know what to expect. Those are our primary characters. And you will see he's going to supernaturally prove that, because one day we may just get on and we might be a whole nother different character that you recognize, and you'll be like, okay, now how is this happening? Because he's not only going to show duplicated spirits, multiple worlds, teleportation, primary suits, which is your primary characters of influential celebrities, glorious bodies. He's going to be showing all of that. So this is only the pre-social media. Wait, God has so much more, and he always leaves room for faith. Okay, so that's why you received a dream, because of who you're fighting. And it has to do with... Look at the birthdays. Yeah.
I looked at the birthday of the person you were dreaming. Birthday was April 1st. That's 4/1. 14. 14, if you break it down, goes to 311. Because 1 plus 3 is 4. Plus the 1 is 3.
Yeah.
311. The 2 ones left over. So 311 is very important.
Well, and think about this. When did you start talking about that video? 11:13. It's all tying in.
Yes, and 311 was when Jesus' spirit left him.
The cross.
And that is also the number that the devil uses to mock. 23,
all the time.
32.
923. That's why they allowed that deception.
So that person you were fighting is somebody. And we'll maybe next week.
And so I already know where this is going, because Jesus prophesied all this. He prophesied that when people, because he gave me a message 8/14/2023, okay? And he said they're going to make videos. The Pharisees are going to run with this one. It's going to be crazy. Run from social media. And it's against man's laws versus faith, because literally it's about being under the law. He showed me Galatians 4:4 the other day, ties into Jesus' spirit, but you have to look at the Geneva version, because that's a true version before King James version. It's closest to his translation. So I already know people are going to talk about how I left my first husband and I was called an adulterer and all that. But did you know that Jesus literally prophesied February 24th, 2023, and I met G 6/17/2023? He already said, I didn't tell you to condemn the adulteress, right? Because there's a mystery with that. Adultery actually means Alamistree, okay? Now, this is a heavenly word that Jesus gave me, and it's all a mystery. Do you get it? Because Adam and Eve, they were created in heaven first, because everything happens in heaven. That's why it's on earth as it is in heaven, right? So they were actually created with stardust before. The mockery of them was the dirt. And that is because God did not need a positive and a negative attraction through the laws of physics, okay? Because he made them by his hand. He didn't speak it and he didn't think it. So the enemy, when the third of the angels fell, with half of heaven, mind you, in the second heaven, not the first one, because the first one stayed pure, because God made the battle lines in the second heaven. So he was setting that up. But even before that, there was a rebellion colony that he made another heaven, because he knew that the angels wanted to procreate, and he chose 2 for procreation and 2 for not, just protection army angels, because of the opposition of science through creation, which the evil was outside of the realms, and they're linked to the wormholes and the portals of heaven, which can link you to the evil realms, which is how heaven got corrupted. How do you think heaven got corrupted? Why do you think Lucifer fell? Now, it wasn't even the actual Lucifer, it was the duplicated spirit of Lucifer that held the fallen spirits of the entire line that fell with half the kingdom of heaven, as well as the third angels. Well, what you don't know is the archon angels had God's creations, okay? And so here's where the mockery came in. They started making things, but it was a mockery because it was God's original creation, because God creates and the devil mocks, okay? So then all of that happened. It set up the fall, with the rebellion colony, because God knew that they were going to do that, and he was planning on letting them procreate anyway, because there's kingdom marriages in heaven, there's soulmates. And that's where Alamistree comes in. It's the rib that was taken out of Adam to make Eve, even in heaven. And God made that perfect soulmate formula through them to make kingdom marriages. This is why, if you look at Song of Solomon, it says, sister, my lover, my spouse, because they were created in the same womb. And that's how he did it in heaven, okay? And so all of this ties into what adultery actually is. It's also becoming your own, idolizing things in the world, against God. But if you look at the adultery scriptures, you also see it's spirit and flesh, and you also see it's attached to the law. There are no more laws, okay? There's a reason why Jesus drew a line, because he's been drawing the line, showing where the spirit-filled people are, the true ones, and then where the people who are under the law, not relying on Jesus Christ to save them. And if you don't do that, then you're condemned for everything. So when he said, sin no more, he was talking about when you follow me and you have my heart of flesh, you're no longer labeled as a sinner. Now, this is where the wineskin process comes in, because it's not a license to sin. It's getting to know Jesus. If you have a relationship with someone and you love them, you would not want to disappoint them. So that's the whole point. And the whole point of him putting us out there and talking about this random thing of the Lori and Chad thing is because it's confirming what Jesus is talking about with duplicated spirits and multiple worlds. And no, they didn't tell me anything. I watched a 2-minute 18-second video after Jesus told me they were innocent, and then he led me to that video. And then I watched the Netflix show, but he was talking to me during it, and he was like, do you see how the elite was after them? Look, who's the guy in the ski mask? Why were they shot up? So he was confirming things because it's blind faith. I don't know anything about this case. I didn't watch the court trials. There was something that you brought to my attention. I think it was where she was defending herself, right? But when God was saying she was being quiet, he was referring to not talking about the kids, not talking about any of that, because they knew they were being targeted. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, okay, I think I'm done. Yeah. So G is going to read his prophecy from the Lord that he received, and then I will read you one as well that I posted in my notes on 5:13, because Jesus told me to look at 5:13, so he was leading me to this prophecy, because this is what the plan is from the devil, from the elite, for his people. Okay. All right. Do you have yours?
Yep, I have mine.
Oh, I'm searching it for okay, I forgot you have to go somewhere else.
Okay.
Don't mind me.
Okay, this message was 5/15/2025. Yeah, that's what I have. It says, this was a message that he had me deliver to the group, but he told me today to send it to all of you. See, you made me write that.
Oh yeah.
Because it's the same plans that he has for the group, he has the same plans for everyone. Because in the end, we all will become his elders.
So let me explain that. So he trains us, right? He's been training our group. God called random people through me. Like after he poured his spirit out on me, there was a random person who defended me, and she no longer believes that I hear from Jesus. She thinks that deception came in. But anyway, he called her, and it has to do with other people coming in that he's called. And the reason why some have fallen away or some just stop believing is because he's showing the rebellion colony from the very beginning. Okay, so he's showing that as symbolism, that's the role that they're playing, right? And so basically you're going to see when all of this is done how it's like the same person just in different suits. And he called random names, like some people all over the world, like Canada, New Zealand. I mean, just different places that connected with me, and Jesus called them.
Yeah.
So that's the group he's talking about. Just like he had 12 apostles, he's doing the same thing now, except for there's more than 12. 12 is just a symbolic number connecting from the 12 sections of birthrights in heaven and below.
Okay. So 5/15/2025. Hi, my children. Well, I'm back. As you can see, I'm using my new prophet in the wings, G. As you can see, we are all on the wings, waiting for that perfect time that I choose where everybody will be my main vessel, speaking the words that I put in their mouths, bringing glory to my will. I like repetition because it establishes trust and builds endurance and faith, and that's why I have G added again. I have many of you on different tasks. Some are reading